What is up, guys? Welcome to my channel. This is a little short video just reviewing my trip to London to watch the Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Hen fight. After that fight, though, I said I'll stop calling him Conor Hen, which I was going to, but all the interviews he's done afterwards, I'm like, nah, he's a straight hen. He's going back to hen. How was the night? It was a pain in the ass to get there, so by the time me and my mate got there and got to our seats with a couple of beers, the Chris Smith versus Brandon Glanton fight had just ended. So I haven't had a chance to watch it back yet. I've been busy, and it's taken me nearly a week to recover. I got so drunk. Everyone in the stadium seemed to think that Brandon Glanton had punched him up and got robbed, but from what I've heard from online, that's not the case. But I can't say it's the only fight I haven't seen yet. The Liam Smith versus Aaron McKenna fight, that was pretty decent. That was pretty decent to watch. Aaron McKenna just schooled him. I mean, Beefy is shot to pieces. He just had his hands up, moving forward all night, but he wasn't throwing. Anytime he did, he was getting hit. So I understand why he wasn't throwing. But and I guess you've got to put your hands up and move forward. If you just move back, you're just going to move into the ropes and just get hammered, aren't you? That McKenna kid looked good, though. I think before that was the Vidal Riley versus Siobhan C4 Clark. That was a pretty decent fight. Vidal Riley he's got some real skills. He was pretty fight to watch. You know what I mean? Like someone who's like just wants to see someone get damaged and blood and guts wouldn't have enjoyed that fight. But it was a decent British level fight, worthy of a British title. Vidal's pretty decent. He doesn't seem to have a lot of pop in his punches, but he wasn't really sitting down on him at the same time. Then we've got the fight, which I thought would be the first exciting fight, which I had money on Arthur. I thought he went 12 rounds with Bivol in his last fight. That's got to have given him some sort of knowledge. Do you know what I mean? Like, you win or you learn, so he must have learned something from it. Turns out he didn't really. Anthony Yard looked terrible in the fight before that, getting punched up by a bin man, hit with all kinds of shots. So I thought it was 7-1 odds on Lyndon Arthur. I thought, how can you not put a little 20 on that? Do you know what I mean? And I put him in a couple of accumulators. But Lyndon Arthur, I think he was just worried at first, thinking, oh, this guy knocked me out last time he stepped into a ring, which is fair enough. That's what happened. But I think Lyndon Arthur could have won that fight if he really had a bit of metal about him. Apparently, Pat Barrett was going nuts in his ear in the corner. But yeah, it is what it is. It wasn't the most exciting fight. And then the main event came. I mean, when that Cullinan rolled up and that door swung open and then big, shiny, bright teeth shone out and we saw a senior, I think most people in the stadium at that point had kind of forgotten about all the pageantry and is Senior going to be there? Is he going to be there? Is he not? Has he planned it? Is he planning to turn up? Is he going to turn up? I always thought he'd turn up because there's no way in hell that Chris Eubank Senior would miss an opportunity to get that much aura, that much applause, that much praise, that much attention from the crowd. Do you know what I mean? His son being 35 years old, that could have been his son's last fight for all he knows. This is a big fight. It's funny how he decided to support his son in a fight that big. I'm sure he got a little 60 grand, 100 grand off Turkey and that to show up. I wouldn't have been surprised if he was playing hardball all along to get a payday because, you know, we all know he spent all his money wildly, and I think any money he does get, he probably spends just as wildly, so he needs that dough. But when he showed up, the arena went wild. It was wicked. And then when he walked out with his son, it was amazing. I didn't even realise till I watched it back on TV because I was quite far back because I didn't want anyone sitting behind me. I thought all the good seats were taken, so we thought we'd sit right at the back so there's no one behind us spilling beer on us and stuff like that, which worked out quite nice, actually. I was going to take binoculars, but you couldn't take bags to the arena, and I didn't fancy carrying them around. And anyway, there was he came out to Simply the Best, and then obviously the band started playing Still Dre, the guy on the keyboard, and the cello or violinist, can't remember, I think it was cello. But either way, it was wicked. The entrances from both guys were really good. And man, that fight made it worth every penny. Traveling there at 5 a.m. having hardly any sleep the night before, staying overnight. It made everything worthwhile. Do you know what I mean? London was a good laugh either way. It's a nice city to visit. Don't hear everything you hear on the news. I mean, when you're in the central London, it's pretty damn nice. I mean, as long as you're staying out of the outskirts and the rougher areas, it's a pretty nice place to be. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, keep your ears and eyes about you, like in any big city, but it's a big exaggeration. You know what I mean? People make out like it's a lot worse than it is. And also, a cool little thing I'd like to show you. Uncle Turkey doesn't let the fans go home empty-handed. Me and my mate actually went into the stairwell because I said, "Look, we want to get on this train so we can get out here before everyone else." So we were on the stairs, and as soon as the bell went, we just ran out the stadium. You can watch all that stuff later. Do you know what I mean? We ran out of there, and as we were going out, they're giving out all these things to the fans. They're like these books. So I've got them here just to show you. I didn't see one single person with this. Turks on the back. It's basically, as you can see, it's like a comic strip. It's like a comic strip. Do you know what I mean? An old school comic strip. And how am I gonna show? This is gonna be awkward, but if I show you Usyk with the saber, it's just basically a. I'll show you. There's some funny little bit. Put Tyson's face there. How funny is that? Hey! Usyk dodging him. You know. Oh God, this is hard to. You know, undisputed. There's one of those Jacob watches. Usyk coming out. You get the picture. You get the idea. Do you know what I mean? There's another quick look at the saber, because that's the last picture. That's the very end of the comic. That's the last page. I think that's a really cool picture. So we've got that. We've got this. Can you see that? Yeah. Another. I want to be careful with this. I want to keep this for a long time. Let me show you. We've got some. I don't know why Justice Hooney's in there. Got up a tire there. These are very, very high quality, glossy. His fight against Nika, Fury, Serrano. But this is a very, very high quality magazine. You've got old school fighters. I think Archie Moore and Batavia, fantasy fight they're talking about. Yeah. The Mongoose, I think his nickname was. I'm pretty sure his nickname was the Mongoose. Archie Moore. Kind of looks like Roy Jones, doesn't he? Is it me or does that guy look a bit like Roy Jones? Mayweather Canelo. And it's Crawford. You get the idea. It's Bacoli. I don't know why Bacoli's in there. Usyk with the saber again. And it's just a really cool little magazine. And do you know what I mean? I mean, I'll keep that till I die. Do you know what I mean? And everyone only had one of each, but I was sneaky and I managed to get. And all I saw was people with these and that. Apart from there was one kid, some other part of London I saw, and he had one of these, but it had Bataviev and Bivol on it. So I'm not quite sure how he got his hands on that. And this is quite interesting. It's showing like belt lineage. I don't think it's actually got it right because I was looking at it and it doesn't seem right. But either way, it's pretty cool. Do you know what I mean? Fight line. Hagler Hearns. You know, you get the idea. Tarver. Throw Tarver in there. IBO and Ring. That's a weird combination, isn't it? There's the Marvelous one there. Old Hagler. In a way. So, yeah, you get the idea. And just one other thing I'll quickly show you. There was a poster folded in. I had it on my thing trying to flatten it out, but it's pretty cool, isn't it? I was thinking of framing it. I mean, it's got lines in it. I mean, I ironed it trying to flatten it out and I kind of wrinkled it a bit. But I feel like I've been flattening it out for long enough now so that it's sort of come back to life. That's a pretty cool poster, isn't it, with all the belts? Don't know why the ring belt's not on there, because, I mean, that's Turkey's pride and joy. But anyway, the fight itself, man, it was amazing. It was so fun to watch. It was just going off. And I don't think everyone realised, or I didn't realise at the time, what a good fight it was. I knew it was a good fight happening, and I could see it. It was just, they were exchanging crazy shots. But obviously, when you're that far away, you can't hit and you haven't got commentary and you haven't got the sound, you can't hear the gloves hitting, you don't quite understand what's going on. But obviously I'm looking at the screen sometimes, and most of the time I was just watching the fight straight on. And one thing I'll say compared to UFC, I spent a lot of money for my tickets, and a lot of the fight was happening behind the pillar and I couldn't see it. And it sounds crazy, but it's very difficult to see through the cage. The cage just obscures your view. It makes your view not very crisp and clear. Whereas the boxing, we were up high, looking down, could see everything. Do you know what I mean? Crisp, clear, it was great. And the ticket, I won't say how much the tickets were, but I'll just say this. For the money I paid to go and watch the UFC, and it was just a fight night in Paris, I could have gone, I could have paid for about 8 or 9 seats, maybe 10 seats in that arena that night. I could have brought 9 of my mates, and so I could have bought 10 seats in that arena for the same price as a UFC ticket. And the UFC, the atmosphere, even though it was a 15,000 instead of 60, the roar was a bit more intense. It's because a lot of people were getting their heads spun off and choked out and sparked out, heads kicked off. People Favola got his head kneed off and stuff like that. So it was a much different vibe because there was a lot of things happening. But the vibes were good in the final fight. But obviously no one got knocked out or no knockdowns, proper knockdowns. So there wasn't any sort of crazy feeling. Like when the knockouts happened in France, it was a crazy feeling. The atmosphere was great. But boxing's obviously not as many finishes, and we all know that. They're much more defensively sound, much more defensive. There's much less weapons coming at them. They've got bigger gloves. You know, when they get knocked down, they got time to recover. They can hold all this sort of stuff. So it's a completely different sport, as we see when people fight Jake Paul from UFC. But anyway, would I recommend going to a boxing match or in a stadium? Yes, I would. Probably not with your missus. If you do want to go with your missus, get some more expensive seats further closer down to the thing, because there were a lot of fights kicking off. Well, there was a lot of handbags. No actual fights happened, but there were a lot of people kicking off, trying to start. One guy was starting on guys like 5 rows behind, and he's with his missus in a red dress, and I'm thinking, obviously his missus in the red dress, not him. You never know these days, do you? But I was thinking, man, those guys can just be throwing stuff at you. They're behind you all night. You got your missus with you, and he was just piping up. I'm thinking, man, it's not worth it. But to go with the boys or lads on a night out, I would 100% recommend it. It was well fun. The final fight made it worth every penny and every hour of travel. I'd highly recommend it. As soon as I got home, the second I got home, the next day or something, or it must have been the Wednesday actually. As soon as I got back, I heard about something about Dubois and Usyk had been finalised, so I jumped straight on Ticketmaster. Boom, got myself some nice seats in the lower bowl at the very back, so no one behind me, but in the closest bowl area to this pitch. And I worked it out by looking on Google Images. I'm gonna have a prime view of that Wembley Stadium. Not sure I'm gonna go with. Maybe I'll find a Chica to take with me, but yeah. All I gotta say is, what a fight, what a night, epic night, and I highly recommend, if you're thinking about going to a boxing match, to go. If you're gonna take a girl or a side chick or whatever you want, I'd think twice, or think about where you're gonna sit if that's the case. But yeah, man, it was a wicked experience, and I'd highly recommend it to anyone. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
To this day.